Hi friends, welcome back or welcome to the channel if you're joining us for the first time. So in today's video, we are going to take a look at the Simplicity, Vogue, and Butterick patterns. So this is the latest summer collection for 2023. So if you haven't had a chance to check out my spring thoughts videos on the Nomi patterns and the McCall's patterns, go ahead and click the links in the description box below and you can watch my thoughts on those collections as well. Now, I think we're going to be seeing some summer patterns for the Nomi brand and also the McCall, so stay on the lookout for my videos on those. But as I said before, today we're focusing on the Vogue, Butterick, and Simplicity patterns, and these are the summer 2023 patterns. So with all of that said, let's go ahead, get into today's video. And I want to say before I start that because I'm including all three of these brands into one video, I'm going to do something a little bit different today, because if I go through each and every one of these patterns and read the description and give my thoughts on each and one of these patterns, it would be a very lengthy video. So instead, I'm going to pick out the patterns that I think are interesting, that are probably reprints, so that you can stay on the lookout for those reprints and you're not buying the same pattern. And then also I'll tell you a little bit about the patterns that I intend to purchase, or patterns that I think would have great silhouettes if you change the silhouette and make the pattern a little bit more of your own by hacking the pattern. So we're going to do that today, and I hope you stick around for the entire video and let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about this collection and patterns that you would buy, patterns that you would hack, or patterns that you thought were interesting. So with all of that said, let's go ahead and get into today's video and let's take a look at the summer 2023 pattern collection. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start off with Simplicity patterns, and I wanted to take a look at this Simplicity S9780, which is Mrs. Dresses. So this pattern comes in sizes 6 to 14 and 16 to 24, so you'll get those groups of sizes for this pattern. It's classified as an easy pattern. Now, this is a dress pattern that have different sleeve lengths. You have this yoke that goes around the front neckline with a keyhole opening. There's some gathering around the neckline as well. You're going to put a band on that neckline as well. And then you have this option of doing like this ruffle that's at the lower bottom of the skirt. Now, I have to be honest, I think View C looks very much like a house gown, like something that your grandmom would wear. And I don't say that as shade or to be disrespectful or anything like that, but it does have like this classic grandmom look to it for View C, in my opinion. When you're looking at the illustration, not the model, when you're looking at the actual artwork, it really reminds me of this 1950s or 60s gown. And so for that reason, I don't think I would purchase the pattern because it looks very much like that. I do think that this pattern has promise. In my opinion, I would like this more as a top than a dress. So I would do like a semi-crop top. So when I say semi-crop top, I mean not like a true crop, but like a crop that maybe goes below the belly button. So if you wear like a pair of high-rise jeans, your tummy isn't showing for someone like me who don't like to actually show tummy. So I think that if I would do this as a semi-crop top with an elastic in the waistline of the top, I think it would be really cute. I think also if you break it up by adding a contrast piece on the yoke part of it, break up the fabrics, I think it would look more favorable as well and more interesting, because you don't have like one solid fabric going down. I do like the fact that they chose a smaller scale print for the floral designs, because with these types of patterns, when you have yoke pieces and all these different pieces that you're putting together, if you use a large scale print, sometimes you can mess up the overall look of the garment. And so the fact that they chose a smaller scale or a medium-sized scale floral design is really great. However, I think that this color, this fabric, I think we need something different, maybe in a rayon challis. I believe this is a cotton fabric because it looks like one of the mood fabrics that I was interested in last summer. And I think I don't know. I think if we chose maybe a rayon, maybe it will look better. It would have more drape, a more fluid drape, and it would change the overall look of it. I'm not a fan of it completely, but I do see some potential in it if you actually hack the pattern. Moving along to the Simplicity S9785. This is Mrs. Pair of pants. Easy to sew, relaxed pull-on pants with the belt, loop, side seam pockets, and hem variations, and it is classified as easy. Now, I'm going to go ahead and put a few pictures up here or over here so you can see different pants that came out over the last couple years that have this same silhouette, same design, elastic in the waist, etc. So if you have this pattern or any of these patterns in your stash, then you don't have to run out and get this. If you're a beginner and you don't quite have a stash, I think this would be a really great pattern for you because it's a simple pattern block. You don't have any real notions except for your elastic, and you don't have to worry about closures either. And so you don't have to worry about zippers and buttons and things of that nature. It's really easy to sew, and it would be something that will be beginner friendly because you can learn how to sew. Other than that, for those of us who have been sewing for a while and have a larger stash, this isn't anything new, and it's not really exciting for us. However, this is, like I said, more geared towards those beginners. One of my favorite patterns out of the collection is the Simplicity S9787. Now you get this in two different envelopes. So the first envelope is the 20W to 38W. And then you have another envelope that is, I think it's the size 4 to 20 or 26 or something like that. Now, this is a women's skirt with hemline variations. I do like the fact that you have a high-low skirt, and then you also have the option to do a regular skirt as well. I really like that. It has buttons going down the center front, and instead of having like your traditional waistband with a button on it or a button closure or a bar closure or something like that, it has a drawstring going around the waistline, which I think is very interesting and it's very different. It's not new, but we haven't seen this pattern in some time now, and so I think that it would be fair to say that we can go out and purchase this if we don't have something like this in our stash. I really do like the fit of it. I like and when I say fit, I mean like the fit around the waistline. It has a fit and flare. And so I really like those types of garments, especially for someone like me. And I've said this many times on the channel, who don't really have hips. And so it creates that illusion that you do have a fuller body on the bottom end of your body, if that's something that you're going for. So I really do like this, and I would consider purchasing this pattern. Next, we have the Mimi G pattern. This is the Simplicity S9778. This is a bodycon dress that comes in two different lengths. So you have a long midi length, and then you also have above the knee length as well. You also have like this cutout in the front and a tie knot detail in the front of the dress. You have a sleeveless variation and also a variation that has a really short sleeve. Now, I'm going to be honest, this isn't for me because I don't do cutouts and I rarely do bodycon dresses, just simply because it's not my style. I like more semi-loose fitting garments. Some fitted garments, it just depends on where the fit is. If it's a fit in the bust area, then I'm okay with that, and then a flare out for like a skirt or something like that. But this just isn't something that I always gravitate towards. I think in the last couple of years, I made maybe one close fitting knit dress. So this just isn't something for me. But having that said, I do think that it's on trend and it's very easy to sew. And like I said, you have these different sleeve variations and different length variations, which is also always really great. And then also it has an elasticated waist. And so this is going to be for your advanced sewists. I think maybe even beginner sewists can sew something like this if they learn how to do those little knot details. Sometimes those knot patterns can be very frustrating, but I think it would be really easy to get through that if you watch a tutorial. And Mimi G provides tutorials for all of her patterns, so you wouldn't have any problems there. So again, this isn't something for me. However, I do think it's on trend. Next, we have the Simplicity S9788. So this is an easy to sew sleek knit dress that is, you have a short or a midi length. It has a side slit on it, and then you have ruching on the front. I have to be honest again, I'm really not a fan of ruching. It just depends on where the ruching is. And this one happens to be in the center front of the garment. I don't like it. And it's just not something that I would actually be making myself. So for the next pattern, this is the Simplicity S9790. You do also have a plus size in this one as well. So the first group of sizes for the plus size is 20W to 28W, and then you have 30W to 38W. And then you have the misses regular sizes as well. And I'm not on the screen so that I can tell you what the sizes are, but I'll click out soon and tell you what those sizes are. Now, this pattern comes with an asymmetrical draped top with one shoulder or a shoulder tie. You have wide leg pants and slim skirt with slit that have a yoke. And this pattern is also sized for knits as well. So I don't like the top. I don't like all the scrunching and the bunching up on the top. I think especially for women who are big busted, it's going to accentuate that. The cup area. And I don't know. For some people, they might like that style. But for me, I don't really like to accentuate certain areas. And those areas for me are my bust and my arms. And so that would be a pattern that would be a no for me because the shoulder straps open. You got that detail. And then also it just has all the scrunching there, which I think both of those things will accentuate your upper top area. Now, I do think they compensated for that with the wide leg pants. However, I'm not one who gravitates towards wide leg pants all that often. And also, this pattern reminds me of a Simplicity pattern that was released a couple years ago. And so again, if you have this pattern in your stash, you don't necessarily have to run out and get this, especially if you're only getting it for the pant pattern. And also for that Simplicity pattern, the pants are a little bit more tapered in the older version, but it would be very easy to, make your pattern more wide, make a wider pattern and get the same drape and fit as this pattern here. Now for the regular size for that pattern, it comes in sizes 4 to 12 and 12 to 20. Okay, I'm going to do a couple more from Simplicity, and then I'll go ahead and switch over to Vogue. So for this pattern here, the Simplicity S, what is this? 9791. This pattern is just very awkward to me, especially the pants and the skirt pattern. I don't like that the yoke piece on the pants and the skirt. It reminds me of a Simplicity pattern that came out a couple years ago, and I'll put that here. That Simplicity pattern has like a little cutout, like a little notch on the yoke there. So it's a little bit different, but it's still just about the same. You have the same concept, the same ideas, the same inspiration behind this pattern as that pant pattern there. So I think that is unfortunate that we're still seeing a lot of repeats and not too many new designs, right? And then for the top pattern, this actually reminds me of the New Look pattern that came out a couple years ago. Now, the silhouette of that New Look pattern has more of a squared off shoulder line with a more puffy sleeve. However, again, we're getting very much of the same look, the same style. And so just be careful when you're purchasing some of these patterns, because you can definitely create the same style, and all you have to do is hack it just a little bit. Like with this one, all you have to do is drop that neckline and make it a square just a little bit to get that New Look pattern. So it's very much the same style. And if you already have that New Look pattern in your stash, all you have to do is raise the neckline a little bit and round it off to get a more rounded neckline. So again, same style to me. I feel like we're not seeing a whole lot that is new. This pattern here, the Simplicity S9783, I don't really like patterns that have this pleated neckline that come all the way up to the neck, like to the top of your neck. I think it's for people like me, it just isn't my style. It's not my taste. It also accentuates that upper top area, right? Again, it accentuates the breast, it'll accentuate the arms and things of that nature, and make you look very unbalanced, especially if you're wearing this top with just a pair of slim fitting jeans, or a pair of jeggings or anything like that. It is going to accentuate the top area and make you look very heavy on the top versus the bottom. And those are the issues that I have with these types of patterns, just simply because it will make me look very disproportionate, because I'm already heavier on the top than I am on the bottom, and it just would make you look very disproportionate. And so those are the issues that I have with these types of patterns. Now that is personal preferences. My objective ideas about this pattern, I still think that this look, this pleated look here, it's not very trendy. You don't see a whole lot of tops like this, and so I wouldn't be surprised if you don't see too many people wearing or making these types of garments, just because they don't really trend very well. Lastly, I'll talk about this pattern here. This is the Simplicity S9782. And the reason why I selected this one to talk about is because, again, this is kind of a repeat, right? So we've seen this style and this look in the new look pattern in the last, I believe it was spring pattern of last year. And I'll share with you what that looks like. Same basic top. The only difference is with the new look pattern, it has elastic around the sleeve, and you have a longer sleeve. This one, you have a 3/4 length sleeve and a short sleeve, but again, you have raglan sleeves. You have buttons going down the center front of the garment. You have a gathered neckline that has a band on it. Same pattern. So if you already purchased that new look pattern, go ahead and put this one out of your mind. Or if you haven't purchased the new look pattern and you want this pattern, just keep in mind that you don't have to purchase that new look pattern, because they are basically the same pattern. So those are the thoughts that I have for the Simplicity collection. I just don't think I'll be able to include commentary on all the patterns from all the brands, like I said. And so that's why I'm just selecting a few here. And like I said, from this collection, I would be considering getting that skirt, which is the Simplicity S9787. So that is the one that I would consider from this collection. This collection, I don't think it was like giving me what I wanted to have from this collection. However, like I said, I do like the skirt from this collection, but everything else was just not something that I would actually run out and purchase. Next, let's talk about the Vogue collection. Now, I had a few people over on Instagram. So after I took the polls on these Vogue patterns, a few people on Instagram felt a need to DM me and give me their thoughts about how disappointed they were that the poll numbers were so low in this collection, and that they absolutely love the collection. And to those individuals, I say that is great for you. If you love this collection, I am happy that you have found a collection that you can resonate with, and that you can choose patterns that will fit your needs. But for those individuals who have voiced their opinions by taking the polls over on Instagram and sharing with me their thoughts that they didn't like the collection, I feel like their points are valid as well. Especially because we are seeing a lot of patterns that are reproductions. And I feel like a lot of us are a little bit disappointed and also frustrated with seeing a lot of reproductions. With every video that I do, I am constantly finding different patterns that are very similar to these patterns that they are reproducing. And so obviously we're not going to want to go out and spend our money for patterns that we've already purchased. Now, with that said, I do think that this collection have a few interesting pieces that are kind of new in some ways, and they put a different take on some of those patterns. So let's start off with the Vogue V 1954. So the first thought that came into my mind with this pattern is, who asked for this? I don't know why we're seeing a cold shoulder button up top with a flared back. It's very unique, I would say that. Now, I've seen tops that are similar to View A. We've seen these types of tops before. McCall's put out one several years ago. I think even Simplicity had one as well. And so I don't have a real big gripe with View A, but View B is just throwing me. I don't like this pattern at all. It comes in sizes 8 to 16 and 18 to 26. And the description says it is loose fitting pullover tops with back yoke and drop shoulders that have a collar band, front placket with concealed button closure, and a shaped hem. View A armhole is finished with a narrow hem. View B has long two-piece sleeves with button closure and stitch hem, front sleeve buttons over back sleeve, creating a cold shoulder effect. Again, I don't know who's asking for that cold shoulder, but it ain't me. So this Vogue dress, the Vogue V 1953, is also very interesting. You have two different lengths. You have a midi length and a maxi length with a side slit. That deep V neckline is very deep for me. I will never be wearing anything like that. Most garments like this, I would have to do significant alterations to be able to even consider wearing it. And so for that reason, it would not be for me. I do think it is very trendy. You do see a lot of these gathered elegant gowns that have deep V necklines with side slits. I think the fabric choice is key again, but I mean, it is a classic dress and I don't have any gripes with it, but it is something that we've seen before. Vogue V 1961. I don't like the way that they have the model posed in this. I know it's irrelevant to the actual pattern, but sometimes it's not, right? Sometimes, depending on how they style the garment, how they present the garment, those things, people take all those things into consideration when they're looking on the cover of the pattern and saying, do I really want this pattern? But yeah, we've seen all of these different pieces. View A, we've have many halter tops that are similar to this. View B, there was a McCall's pattern that came out a few years ago of this very high-waisted faced skirt. And so we've seen that before that have like these different panels in the skirt. And then View C, we are time and time again seeing these types of pants. We see them from Vogue pretty much almost every collection, right? We also see them in Simplicity. We see them in Berta. We see these pants a lot, right? So they're basic pants that have a few pleats on the front. You have a waistband that have a bar closure and a welt pocket in the back, and you have darting on the back. I'm not even reading a description here. I'm just looking at the illustration and telling you what the pattern is because I've seen it so many times. I already know by heart what it features. So again, we need some more pizzazz in some of these patterns here. Here's my point with the Vogue V 1960. Pretty much the same pants. The only difference is you have side slits for your pockets and you also have a little bit of a wide leg there. But other than that, same pair of pants. You have a knit halter top that is cropped, and you also have a jacket. And I'm pretty sure we've seen this jacket many times before as well. Matter of fact, they just came out with one just recently. I think later last year, they came out with a jacket like this. So again, we're seeing the same styles repeated over and over again. Let's see here. This Vogue pattern here, the Vogue V 1958 shorts and pants. It's similar to the Butterick pants that they just released for the summer of Butterick. So again, very similar patterns. The description of this one is wide leg pants and shorts that sit below the waist. Both bottoms have fly front zipper, button closure at the waistband, side seam pockets, belt loops, and stitch hem. You have cargo pants for View A, and you also have flaps. So not cargo pockets for View A, and then you also have flaps as well. classified for all body types. But again, it's basically the same thing. It's not a bad pattern. It's just a pattern we've seen before. I think it's really fun. Yeah, I probably would get this Vogue pattern just simply because I don't have a lot of short patterns. And so if I were to get some shorts this year, I think this Vogue pattern would be really cute, or the Butterick pattern. I'll talk more about the Butterick releases here. But again, it's very similar to the Butterick pattern. And so you don't have to get both. They're both are going to have very similar details and features within them. Now, this pattern here, this is the pattern that I actually liked in this collection. It's the Vogue V 1950. And this reminds me of a take on both a modern and a vintage style dress. I think what makes it very modern is the type of fabric that's being used. So it calls for a scuba knit fabric, and then also for your collar, the collar is a raw edge, right? And so in order for you to actually make this, you have to choose a fabric that does not fray. And scuba knit is one of those fabrics. And so I really like that. I think that that is a really unique way to approach a pattern and also a design. So I really like that about it. I also love this neckline. The neckline, you usually have like these classic necklines when it comes to collars, where there's a either a stand-up collar or a collar band, or there's a flat collar that lays flat that has a notch in it. But this collar here is so gorgeous. Even though it's a notched collar, it is almost like a squared. I can't really explain it. You have to actually look at the illustration as I am talking, and also look at it on the model as well. But it has like this really cute cut around the neckline that's almost like a squared neckline, which I think is really interesting and new. You also have these 4 different buttons on the front, and I'm pretty sure that those buttons are non-functional because your closure is your zipper. It has a invisible back. It has an invisible zipper in the back of the garment. You also have loops on the side of the garment that you're going to use to attach this belt that you're going to create for it. You also have princess seams, a short sleeve, and then also you have the option of doing your dress in a different panels as well. So I really like it. It is an advanced pattern. I think it's going to be lined. It doesn't say here if it's lined, but it is calling for fabrics, like I said, like your scuba knit fabrics, which I think is one of the reasons why I would purchase this pattern, because again, it's really hard to use scuba sometimes. Scuba knit is one of those fabrics, like when you get it, you buy it because the fabric is so pretty, but when you get that fabric, you're like, what am I going to do with this? At least that's how I feel sometimes when I buy scuba knit. And to have patterns that are like this, that calls for scuba knit, I think is really rare. And so I really like that about this pattern, and I would definitely consider buying it specifically because of that. Here's a pattern that I did not like. Again, this is a Rachel Comey pattern. This is the Vogue V 1951. There's cutouts in the front, cutouts in the back. There's side cutouts. It's a center front cutout. I don't like this dress. I don't like this dress. I don't know what it is. I don't know where they got the inspiration from, but I don't like this dress. I've seen a couple of people make certain things like this in the sewing community, and just for me, it's just not something that's my style or my taste, and I just don't like it either. So it's not something that I would be wearing or buying. The Vogue V 1957 is another dress pattern. I thought, where was the inspiration coming from? I don't like this skirt. I just don't like the skirt at all. An asymmetrical ruffled skirt that has an invisible back zipper, side seam pockets, baby hems, and length variations. It's just not a skirt that I would buy. It's not a skirt I would make. It's just not a skirt that I like. So that's all I'm going to say about that. We'll look at a couple more from Vogue. So this is the Tom and Linda Platt pattern, the Vogue V 1949. This is like your classic elegant type gown that you would wear for special occasions. It has an underlined lined dress, close fitting through the bust with princess seams. You also have side seam pockets, a lingerie guard, ruffled, a petticoat attached to the lining, and an invisible zipper. So this is definitely going to be for your advanced sewist. And I don't dislike the pattern, but I don't like the pattern. I'm kind of like in the middle there. I think that it is an interesting pattern, and it is one that is very unique. I do like the take that they took on the shoulder there, instead of having like just a scrap or having a sleeve. They actually made like this wide band, or this wide sleeve type thing that extends down to the back of the neckline, which I think is really interesting. You have a center back zipper there. So I do think that this is interesting. I do like the color that they chose for the model, and I like the way that they styled her as well. So that makes it more appealing to me, I think, as well. But I'm not interested in sewing underlined things that you attach to like petticoats and all that stuff. It's just not something that I have the patience for these days. This Vogue V 1962 pattern, which is a robe camisole and a slip dress with pants. No to the black lace trim, in my opinion. No to all of that. I don't like the lace. The color on the model, I feel like they should have put her in something like a teal or blue, or I don't know. The color isn't doing it for me. Maybe I'm being too picky, but the color isn't doing it for me. I think that this is a really nice advanced beginner friendly set. If you don't have something like this in your stash, it will be very easy to create a lot of these pieces, just simply because the robe, you have, let's see, your front, your back, and your sleeve. You have some gathering on the shoulder, which I really like. But again, I feel like they needed to have chosen a different color to make this pattern really pop. I don't really agree with the yellow choice there. And also the lace, the black lace trim, just not doing it for me. I feel like the camisole and the dress are really fun and cute, and that's going to be very easy for your beginners and advanced beginners. And then your pants, especially your pants, because it has an elastic waist as well. So again, it's a very average pattern that you see in the sewing community with when people want a pattern for night lingerie, which is really fun. It's just the way they styled it is just off to me, and I'm not interested in that style at all. So here we have the Vogue V 1952, which is a wrap dress that have neck bands, sewn hems, and sleeve and length variations. You have a 3/4 length sleeve that ends with the band, and you also have a split detail. Now, I do like this wrap dress, and the only thing that I have about wrap dresses is that we see them so often, and there's no design feature that's different that make me want to go out and purchase the pattern. They're all just very simple, basic wrap dresses. Either you have some with a flounce around the neckline or a collar on the neckline, or you might have a different band sleeve, or you might have a flutter sleeve or a bishop sleeve, or you have these different wrap dresses, but nothing so interesting that will make me want to go out and purchase it, because I already have so many different ones. Now, this one is a knit, and so I will say I don't have many knit wrap dresses, and so I would have to check my stash. If I don't have, I know I have the cashmerette Appleton dress, and that's very different. It doesn't have a collar or collar stand, and the neckline and the band on that is very different. And I also have the Sew Over It Eve dress. And so I have those two indie patterns, but I don't know if I have any commercial patterns that are knit wrap dresses. And so for that reason, I may purchase something like this, But again, wrap dresses are just so easy to come by, and the styling and the details are just simple. And so if you want something classic and simple, it would be really great to get. But other than that, you're not going to get like any wow design features out of those types of patterns. So yeah, those are the thoughts that I had for the Vogue collection. Overall, I think the Vogue collection for me was lacking. I wanted to see more summer friendly patterns, maybe more tops, you know, something like that. And I just wasn't seeing a lot of more summer friendly patterns that I actually would sew. So anyway, with that said, let's go ahead and move on to the Butterick patterns. And the Butterick summer patterns just came out this past week. And I made a comment on my IG account before, and I said that I feel like Butterick patterns are the sister that nobody wants to, the stepsister that nobody wants to be around. And the reason why I say that is because every time these patterns come out, Butterick and sometimes New Look and also Berta sometimes, they're never announced. They are never ever announced on IG. It's just you wake up one day and you go on the Simplicity website and they're there. It's like no announcement, nothing in the flyers, nothing on IG. And so anyway, I thought that that was interesting. But let's take a look at the short pattern that I was telling you about that was similar to the Vogue pattern release. So this is the Butterick B6947. Now you get two patterns in this. You have a fitted shirt with a collar band, bust darts, long sleeves with pleats, button cuffs, front button closure, top stitch trim, and a narrow hem. Now for this top, it's really nice that you get a bonus for this top, for this pattern. However, we just seen a pattern very similar to this in the Simplicity early spring release, right? So this very semi-loose fitting fit type top. And so again, if you want to save yourself some money and time and you need shorts and a top and you have not purchased that Simplicity pattern, I would say get this pattern here because you would get the top and the pants here. Again, we have these shorts that have two pleats on the left and the left and the right of the front pant. You have slanted pockets. You have loop carriers, and it looks as though your shorts are going to be knee length. I think you have two different lengths here. You have a shorter thigh high length, and then you have a knee length as well. So I would definitely consider getting something like this. If I don't get the Vogue pattern, I would definitely get this. Like I said, I don't have many short patterns, and I think that this would be really fun to wear. And I do like the combination there. I like how they played on the different pinks for the model. So I really like that. And then also for the art illustration, I like how they use this zebra print and also this tan pair of pants, which is really cute as well, I think. So I really like that set, and I would be considering getting it. Now you can get that in two different sizes. So for your regular size, you're looking at 4 to 12 and then 12 to 20. And then for your plus sizes, you're looking at sizes 20W to 28W and 30W to 38W. So I really like that they have those options for us plus size women as well. Next, let's take a look at this Butterick knit lounge top dress and pants set. This is the Butterick B6945. At first glance, when I saw this, I actually thought that this was for non-stretch woven fabrics, but it's actually for knits, and I think that that's pretty fun. You don't see a lot of these types of patterns for knits, especially patterns that have like buttons and things of that nature. So I think that that's relatively not new, but something different that we are seeing, which is really fun. I don't really care much about the pants, but I think that the top and the dress is really cute. And I think because it is a knit top and dress, I think it would be really, really nice to get something like this. Here we have these Mrs. pants in 4 different lengths. Again, same pattern as I stated with the Vogue pattern, same kind of fit, the same type of style for your pants. Let's see if this one has a welt pocket on the back. It does not say if it has a welt pocket, but it does have side slits, a zipper closure, belt loops. Yeah, so I mean, we've seen this pattern before. These next couple of patterns are a no for me. So this Mrs. Top with short and long sleeves, Butterick B6943. I do not like this pattern. I don't know what's going on. It has like gathering on the sleeve. And then you have like this princess cut seam on both sides of the garment that goes all the way down and extend into the waist and the hip area, which I think is really odd. And then you also have a seam on the side of the waistline as well. Buttons going down the center front. You have an option of doing a long dome sleeve with the band, or a really long dome sleeve with a cuff. I'm confused. I am so confused. There's so much going on with this pattern. I don't know where to look. I will say this. I feel like the way that they used the fabric for the model is very interesting, and it almost makes me want to go out and buy it. But I think it's just not something I would actually make or wear. Again, this pattern here is a no for me. This is also a Palmer and Pletch pattern as well. Sizes are 20W to 28W and 30W to 38W. Now that's the plus size. You do have regular sizes as well, and I will read those to you in a moment. So this is a knit dress that have 3 different lengths, a V neckline and wide waistband, gathers on your bodice and your skirt. View A is a sleeveless variation. View B and C have 3/4 length sleeves. I don't know what it is about that front dress. Like, first of all, the neckline kind of makes this U-shaped curve on the neckline there, and then you have a midriff in the center front. I feel like that midriff is a little too close to your bodice there. Maybe if it was a little bit lower near the waistline, it would look more pleasing, but there's something off about this, and I don't know why I don't like it. It's just not something that visually, it's just not something that I like. Now for the regular size, you're getting 4 to 12 and 12 to 20. But again, I don't know what it is, but it's just not calling to me. I don't really like that dress very much either. And then lastly, let's take a look at this Butterick B6942, which is a halter top dress. Again, we've seen similar dresses like this. It's a cute little sundress. I don't have anything against it. It does have lining. It's fully interfaced with boning, princess seams, and invisible back zipper, side seam pockets, a button closure on the back of the neck. And you have, for view A, there's a slim skirt. And for view B, there's a flared skirt with a flounce for your hem. So it's not a bad pattern. It's just something we've seen before. I think the boning is probably something different. I don't think I've seen halter dresses that have much boning in them. So I think that that's really interesting. There's another pattern that I've seen that I thought was... So there's a wardrobe pattern. This pattern here, and I want to talk about this because it's just so not summer to me. This is a Mrs. Jacket and vest with belt, top, and dress and pants. Butterick B6948. Why are we wearing jackets in the summer? Like, this is, I don't know, maybe if it's made with a really lightweight material, like a chambray or something, maybe, but I don't know why they added this to the collection. But we have seen similar jackets and things like that from Simplicity, and I think also McCall's, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, overall, I think these 3 brands did not really have a whole lot that I was wanting to see in the summer collection. Because it's summer, And because it's hot, I was looking for, more skirts and more tops, things that you can make with very lightweight type materials and be more comfortable during the season. I didn't see a whole lot of that. Instead, I've seen, white leg pants and jackets and things of that nature, long shirts and tunics, and those are things that I think of maybe for fall, or late fall, or um, early fall, so that you can actually transition into something with longer sleeves or something like that. But anyway, I was really hoping to see more summer patterns. I hope that McCall's and Nomi patterns do not disappoint, because I do want to see more summer patterns this summer. So with all of that said, that is my video for today. Let me know your thoughts about these three summer releases in the comment section below. And I hope to talk to you all in the next video. Until next time, stay creative, my friends. Bye.